We don't care about our own little girls in our own community.
You ain't black.
And you ain't black.
Oh, no.
Netflix released this movie called Cuties. It looks pretty bad.
Let's go.
Very bad. Have you guys seen anything about it? And
Oh, yeah.
what's your guys' opinions on it?
Nope. No.
No, I've only saw a trailer, like a minute and a half trailer, and I saw the billboard for it, the poster, and it was disgusting. I felt like my eyes needed to be cleansed with peroxide.
Yeah.
After even seeing that, But the interesting thing though too is I feel like some people may not want to discuss it, but in some communities, people turn a blind eye to adult men that prey on 14, 15, 13-year-olds. They even say, oh, well, the 14-year-old, they're having sex anyway. So, like, I actually know someone that was in my community in Chicago that was related to somebody that I know, and it wasn't a secret. He would have his 14 and 15-year-old daughters bring their friends around for him, but everybody kind of kept it a secret. Nobody really said anything. Nobody called the police. And it's just appalling. I feel like the need to protect our children isn't there anymore necessarily.
I saw a couple on Instagram. It was like he said before. It makes you rethink seeing it. It makes you want to cleanse your eyes out with peroxide or something. But few of the scenes of dancing with popping, twerking, sexual movements, bending over, and then also there's a scene where one of the kids take a picture of their private, sends it, and there's a scene where one of the children take a picture and send it on the internet.
And these are prepubescent children.
So I see that, and when I see the argument coming from Hollywood that we're trying to illustrate the struggle between women's tradition. Because the story is based on a Muslim child,
right?
And she wants to, explore the kind of the Americanized sexual side of Hollywood and things of that sort in regards to dancing,
right?
And they try to portray that as well. We're showing the lifestyle of a child growing up. Well, you don't have to necessarily show these clips and to exploit the child. Yeah. And I don't know if it was you, Siaka, that said it, but there was the auditioning. Think about the auditioning of that
400.
that
film. Audition over 600.
That was 460, I thought.
I heard 650.
So think about the parents, the directors, the people that are watching this, going through these motions and going through 400 or 600, regardless. It should have been 0. Seeing these movements just to find the right child, the perfect child for this, and then they create this, put it out. And a lot of us would argue that it's normalizing pedophilia. Right. And the argument is that it's just showing the children's life in this regard. But again, you don't need these movements and these pictures and these dances and especially taking a picture of your private part.
Yeah. And the thing is these actors are 11 years old.
Yeah.
11.
Prepubescent. And just to build on that really fast, I don't
16,
think it's a coincidence that this movie came out the same time where there are some states where they're trying to pass laws to say that pedophilia is now a sexual orientation.
Notice how that's in California.
Like they're going to add it to the
Hollywood.
LGBTQ, like being
SB
gay or being
145.
bisexual, being attracted to children is now being considered orientation,
which is not. And when people say that that's a sexual orientation and they're trying to put the
that's
P,
disgusting.
They're trying to put the P in the LGBT community.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's what it's going to be. That's where they're going.
And you know what? With this going on and us talking about it, really the main people that need to be talking out about this is the LGBT community. They need to disown this movement. They need to disown this movie, and they need to take the charge on this one because they're trying to attach themselves onto the LGBT movement. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the LGBT community don't want pedophiles in their movement.
Yep.
This is opening up other stuff.
Yes.
This is opening up Disney. This is opening up pageants for little toddlers.
Disney has already been engaging in sneaking in penises and trees or sneaking in
pizza,
breasts.
hot dogs.
Yeah.
And this is all
I
great
saw this
time.
one episode. It was so crazy. I think it was Tom and Jerry or something on Disney from back in the day, and it was so sexualized to where they had like a bottle of milk and they were like the cartoon character was squirting it on the other cartoon character, but they were sexualizing it like ejaculation somehow.
Right.
And these were literally cartoon characters.
And I'm also seeing a trend.
Well, I have a different take.
Okay.
Because I listen to I watch Ben Shapiro quite often, almost every day.
Oh, wow.
And he gave a really good take on this movie and how this is more about the what it's like when the internet raises your children. Because I've seen,
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
Because if you look at the what the movie's about, it's about this child, like you said, from the Muslim background, but
Without a father in the home.
let's go.
Too
You know what I'm saying?
We pointed
This
out.
is exactly
There's a
Because
real-
the father will straighten this out real quick.
Well, the father
I hope
was
so.
gone. He was trying to get his second wife because in the Muslim culture, you can do that. You can get another wife.
polygamy.
Exactly. So this little girl, she starts running in the wrong group of children, and gets involved in their lifestyle. And you see her devolving, the innocence being stripped away as she goes throughout this movie.
Internet.
With the internet,
yeah.
exactly. And if you look at what's going on in the culture, internet raises our children.
Yeah,
The TV
it really does.
raises our
because
children.
it's so convenient
Social media.
nowadays
It
to
really
put a tablet or a phone in front
Here,
of your
have
child
this.
Yeah.
so that I can go do
The
what I
same
want
thing.
to do.
The same thing that the inventor Steve Jobs said he would never do for his kids
Give
when
his
they were growing.
children. Yep.
So as we're
that.
sitting there and allowing 6 months, though a year, somebody's a year, 2 years to hold these things, this is something the founder said. Yeah, it messes with their brain chemistry and their development.
And
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
so
but-
with what you said, should they have shot it?
Well, here's what I have to say about that, because I've seen Cuties. I've seen the movie Cuties in real life many times through these pageants, through these little cheer squads. I remember when I was married, my ex stepdaughter, she was into the cheerleading and all that type of stuff. And I've seen the dance moves that they put on. I've seen the sexualized manner that these now these are Americans, that these American choreographers are teaching these young girls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so Cuties has been something that's been going on in American culture for a while. You got songs like WAP, which I've seen
children
internet
dancing
views,
to
exactly,
it, listening to
popping
it.
their-
They got a WAP challenge now.
Because
that kids are doing.
because their mothers and their cousins and sisters play it.
Well,
and
does it make any difference that Cuties is a French film? It's not American.
Yeah,
right.
the
But
one
it's
with-
No, it doesn't
still,
make a difference.
it's still what's going on in the culture right now, because in the culture, everything's hypersexualized. And if you look throughout the movie of Cuties, the scene that we've been talking about with the
I'm sorry, I can't watch it. I'm
I
not
can't
going
watch
to.
it.
I'm not
The
going
se-
to.
the
She was
sexual
grabbing her
dance that they had.
private parts.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that whole choreography, what it is they're doing this dance and the crowd's all into it. And as the dance goes on, it becomes more and more sexual.
Yeah.
And the crowd starts getting turned off to it. And eventually the main character, she breaks down and runs off stage because she realized that she's been tainted. And at the very end of the film, she's dressed up in a sweater, and she is jumping rope trying to regain her innocence. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a progress in the process when you see.
And I can understand that, and I can, like, just from a standpoint of storytelling, I see where they're going. My only thing with all this is that there are plenty of ways to express those same issues that are going on without having to go as far as they did with pre-pubescent teens.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, if it's an actor's over 18 or decide to do what they're going to do, that's a whole different story. But number one, the parents had to sign off on it. Number two, they audition all those girls. Number three, and something like a lot of people don't think about, is like, these are not professionals. And
Right.
I've been on a bunch of different sets, and I know how many takes it
It
you
takes
can
to get-
just to get one shot. Now you have 5 girls who are who are kids.
I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
How many
So-
shots they
so-
take in order to get one good one?
for the one that we see.
Jesus.
Not even the good one, just the one we
Jesus.
see, and the angles and the different cameras. So you have 5 girls that are not professionals. It's already harder to work with animals and kids on set. So now you have that. Then on the other side, there are 4,
Four of
sorry,
them,
and then on the other side you have what is on Netflix. That's just the footage we see.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How much of the footage is like, well, no, we're not going to use it. Not.
Right.
And what's
that's on
in
the
that
editor's
footage?
reel
Yeah.
that they're
And-
going to keep.
Yeah.
How do we know that these editors aren't back there just watching it over and over like child pornography?
Yep.
And it's like,
You know,
so
I
the
mean, it's
question,
borderline child pornography. It really
No,
is.
I don't know if it's border. It's like the question is.
I think it
The
is.
question I asked then is like, I mean, you brought it up earlier. People like in Chicago, the one. It's like, Like, and I think like this from especially the black community. We allow R. Kelly to go around, marry Aaliyah at 15 back in the 90s, and everyone knew it, and it was cool in our community.
The music industry even knew.
In our community. So then we'll turn around and ask someone else in other communities to care about us. We don't care about our own little girls in our own community. And that goes. And, I'm sorry, but it goes like, to me, I see it as it hits in every level. It starts it starts in the schools to just sexualizing us to be like, and it's easy to fix your problems in those things, right? If you get pregnant now, you can just go down to 202 with a pass and have an abortion. And if we look at it like that, that's why the shit is the way it is. That's why kids are being shot and killed all over the city. That's why we're burning ourselves down. We don't even hold the value of life as something important for babies, kids, let alone grown adults.
You know, you mentioned earlier about the parents of the kids that had to audition. Now that makes me wonder, were the parents even involved? Because we don't know what the guidelines for like casting films and sets in France necessarily is. Because what if they have a thing where, I know like how in America they could put a notice out, 16 to look younger. So what if those girls really technically were 15?
No, they're all 10 and 11.
They can work.
They're all 10 and 11. It's not. They specifically
wanted
wanted
they were 18 to play in 11.
Oh, okay, right. Okay,
You gotta
so
look
they
at it
really
this way,
were
'cause
11.
You have to balance this. You have to balance exploitation and you have to balance depiction. You want to give an accurate depiction, but you also don't want it without exploiting.
Right.
Well, that
That's,
first
and that was the part that you were bringing up, is that you can find, because there's a lot of people that look younger than what they are. You can find an 18-year-old that looks like they're 16 or 15.
or it's like, it's like you don't have to show all that.
You don't have to show
exactly.
that.
Because when you show,
hold on, I beg to differ, because there's a movie called "I Spit on Your Grave."
Oh
And
yeah,
it's a very it's a rape revenge.
But those are
movie.
adults.
Right? But what I'm trying to say is, you want to give an accurate, because if you the synopsis of the movie is that this woman gets raped and then she gets traveled over to another country, and in that country she gets subsequently raped, sexually abused, and it's graphic. The rape scenes,
it's pretty bad.
It's really bad. But
she fucks him up.
she gets her revenge, and I don't think it would have been as effective of her getting that revenge, because she gets in very graphic terms.
But
that's the balance, is that you want to show the graphic, cruel reality of it, but at the same time, not 11-year-old children.
No, I 100% agree with that. But my thing is this: like I said, I've seen Cuties in real life, and until we really grasp that, because we look,
because it is our fault too.
We
it
look
really
at
is.
Cuties, we look at this movie and we're repulsed by it. We're so repulsed by it, but yet and still we'll put out videos of our kids twerking. Well, not our kids. They will put out movies of their videos of their kids twerking, of their kids doing very hypersexualized acts.
Speaking of, remember the Super Bowl when they came out on the stripper pole and they had the children there, like literally J-Lo was on a stripper pole doing stripper moves.
Well,
and then the children was right there singing in cages, and yet you don't think your daughter is gonna want to
wait? They were singing in
take
cages.
That stripper pole.
They're in cages at that time. The kids were.
Say what?
The kids were in cages.
The kids were in cages on the Super Bowl.
No. The reason why I bring this up,
Simulating.
the reason why I bring this up is like this, like Cuties. This is what. There is something deeper than just sides on here. Yeah. And like from sex education in schools, from allowing people to have their own medical autonomy in schools, from this push to push fathers out, to take fathers out, to demasculate men so there doesn't have that masculinity in there. You have these movies out there, which is the protection. You sit there, you see an image where J-Lo is playing a stripper while kids are in cages. There's things I've heard, I'm not gonna go all the way down there, but there's things I've heard where for them, they enjoy the torture. They enjoy this evilness of what it is. To take someone's innocence is what they thrive on. They thrive on it, and then they tell you you're the bad guy, that you're uncomfortable with it. The biggest thing I think that it sucks is the fact that we don't talk about child trafficking and child sex stuff. That we can go out on these marches for the children and people will yell out the fuck Trump, fuck this. It has nothing to do with that. We don't protect our young ones. We don't. That's it. And I'm sorry, this shit pisses me off, man. I mean, because they do this shit over and over, and we die, and we're shot and killed. And they have little girls are getting raped by men over and over, and then it's told that we are the ones that are understanding enough,
right? And
then we want somebody else to care about our communities or our country. We don't care about our weakest. We don't.
You hear this passion in his voice, and this passion doesn't come from a sense of, we protest about everything and anything under the sun. We bitch about everything and anything under the sun. But the one thing that we cannot unify about is the one thing that's so important.
Kids, the future.
There
That
should
is
be
our
no
national treasure.
discussion about it. Really, it should be
I don't-
protecting the children.
These women are going to go out
You
on the
would
limb
not
and
be against
scream
that.
all over everything for Ruth Bader Ginsburg because of Roe v. Wade for their chance and ability to kill a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not it is what it is, whether we want to like it or not. That's what's happening, and you will go out in the street and do that. But when we find there was 100 and some kids the other day just found, there's 39 in Georgia the other day. Like we're finding this stuff's coming out left and right, and no one wants to say anything, and they want to try to use some kind of like hate mongering fear thing. Oh, you must be a QAnon. No, I'm a fucking adult and a man that's charged to protect the weakest. That's what we're charged with. If you believe in God, that's what you're charged. You're not charged. Man, this shit is fucking.
This is what
it's so crazy, man.
This is what I need people to understand about when it comes to shows and movies like Cuties. You know, like I was saying with I Spit on Your Grave. Same thing with Saving Private Ryan. When it came out, it was like extraordinary because and people
Because of the visuals.
Because of the visuals, it actually depicted what real war was. It didn't glorify it. It didn't make it seem like it was some great thing. It was actual war. This is what war is. Terrible. It's people getting their limbs blown off. They show the actual depictions of it. So I think what's really important about Cuties, and don't get me wrong, I really think that this is something that pedophiles get off to. Let's be real.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why it's the number one movie on Netflix right now.
And I think Netflix is
it number one?
complicit with that.
I thought people were boycotting.
We got to be able to understand.
It was number one when it first
the
came
people,
out.
the
It
people,
changed the ratchet though.
the,
So
the
go check it
people
out
that
in
are
the first
the
episode.
people that are boycotting it canceled their subscription, so they're counting the numbers on the people that still have the subscription.
We got to understand when it comes to these type of films. You look at it for what it is, and it's a terrible movie, but it's supposed to be a wake-up call. It's supposed to get people to get out of their comfort zone and look at something that's absolutely terrible and understand that this is what's going on in the real world.
So
this is not supposed to be glorified and put in such a light that it's not supposed to be celebrated. It's supposed to be looked upon with disgust, with disdain. Because the director even talked about that. The reason she made this movie is because she saw young girls in the park doing this very thing. So she wanted to attack this.
If that was her objective, I think maybe she would have been more effective if she would have did it in like a documentary style.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a whole
like
different
limited
thing.
releases to adult audiences to encourage adults to protect.
know what?
children.
I don't even
because
think-
that is low key targeted towards children.
It is.
Yeah.
But I don't even think like that's the one thing when you talk about context and showing what we need to see.
Yeah.
A documentary everyone can see because that's real life. When you put a script together and you have to do multiple cuts and you have to audition over 400 girls. That's something else. And I get everything you're saying. There's plenty of ways. Let's see what's on Anthony Weiner's fucking laptop that have hardened detectives retire because of that stuff.
This is what I wanted to bring up too, because I hear the passion in his voice, and we're seeing this because there's been a recent shift and change in culture that before 2016 we all knew that there was something going on in Hollywood. 2016 WikiLeaks came out, and with the Hillary Clinton campaign, and we saw a lot of information that came out, and one of it was pedophilia. We can go into all the emails, but one of them I would say is that an email from the Obama administration that they had a party in Chicago of $65,000 worth of succulent hot dogs. Now, if you think about it, a hot dog isn't worth $65,000, but later on, the FBI actually confirmed this was all in 2016. You heard the WikiLeaks, but they didn't talk about this on the news.
Code language.
Yes, and the FBI went ahead and confirmed that pizza, hot dog, cheesy pizza, pepperoni pizza, pasta, these things are code words for pedophilia. And when that came out, there was actually an investigation that Siaka is talking about, that the campaign manager, or part of the campaign, Anthony Weiner, which was husband to
Human.
Yuma?
Yeah, and she was the campaign
the
manager,
campaign manager
of Hillary Clinton, and her husband had a laptop full of child pornography that was seized by the FBI, and reportedly in the article they explained that when the FBI, now these guys in the FBI do this for a living, they do child trafficking, sex crimes for a living. Reportedly, they had to do 2 to 3 hour shifts
to go through
to where they had to break down, cry.
That they retired,
and some of them retired. So what I'm saying is, when I'm talking about this in context, since then, what's his name? Epstein, which he got slapped on the wrist during the Obama administration and the Bush administration. As soon as Trump got in, he was arrested. Now we all know
Well,
about
no. Epstein was arrested. Yeah, he was actually. You're right. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking about
and
Giselle
so
Maxwell.
and so once when he was arrested, that's when the whole flight logs came out and all that stuff. And a lot of people talk about the flight logs like as if everybody wants to focus on him, like the Netflix one. It was kind of whitewashed. People don't understand that. Yeah, he was a pedophile, but again, with the flight logs, it begs to differ that he wasn't just a pedophile. He actually had the organization of this pedophile. If you actually look at the flight logs, now fast forward till now, he committed suicide.
No, Epstein
and
didn't kill himself. He got his neck broken.
yeah, exactly. And so now that Maxine is now in custody, all of a sudden we've seen an uptick, almost 3 times the numbers that were previously in the Obama administration of sex trafficking, where you mentioned the 35, 39, 42 children that are in basements.
Found,
Yes, and we're seeing this in a mix, and all of a sudden Netflix wants to put out Cuties.
Well, have you all noticed that there seems to have been always a weird kind of infatuation with Hollywood and sexualizing children?
Absolutely.
I remember like recently I saw some of these old black and white movies where they had like baby burlesque, where they would literally have like the little Shirley Temples in bars, drinking liquor, smoking cigarettes, and walking around sexually, and literally it would be like an adult scene, but they just replaced it with like little toddlers, literally. And it's like, how is a toddler sexualizing and talking or flirting with a man in a bar? You know, baby burlesque, like that sounds disgusting.
And I'm sorry, man, but like anybody, for me, like that's it.
Yeah,
You harm a child in that way,
Absolutely.
I will go to prison. And that's not conjecture or nothing. If I have 2 godsons,
That's the thing too in
one 6
Hollywood.
and 1 3, and if anyone ever come close to do anything like that, I will kill that person. I am not joking. This shit is real. We all have to wake the fuck up and start protecting our kids
When you
first.
think about it, in Hollywood, a lot of these Hollywood parents maybe aren't able to go everywhere with the child.
Yeah,
So
part of it
say,
is
for example,
planned.
But if your 14-year-old books a movie that shoots in Canada, and you as a parent aren't able to quit your job, how do you work out to hire a responsible adult to watch your 14-year-old for 3 months in Canada?
Well, this is a lot of what they really do. What they do, and this is a lawsuit with, I forget her name off the top of my head, but they're suing the managers because what happens is a lot of these parents come out, put all their money into this thing, right? This is part of the insidiousness. They go through different cities with these big like, oh, come through, we'll test your kid out, they're an actor, and then you have all the hair, makeup people come there, and there's a lot of money in these things. They do it over at the Roosevelt every year, right? They usually do. So then you have that happen. Then the parents like, man, we got to take a shot. If they take a shot and they don't have money, as they do that, then the manager or the producer or the agent pretty much puts pressure on the parent to continue to try to keep up this life and go, don't worry about it, I got your kid. So now, and in this lawsuit specifically, the manager is being sued because he was basically selling the kid out to producers so it can get work. That was going on. Shit, Corey Feldman talks about all the time how Corey Haim killed himself because of this. Elijah Wood talks about, thank God I had a strong mom around me that none of this stuff didn't happen to me. They talk about this.
Yeah, they do.
Brian
They
Singer
do.
is brought up on stuff. I've worked parties where where the young men there on these gay parties were shirtless are underage. I've seen it on my own. There is something wrong. And the one thing I want to mention in our last segment is like, you look at what the arguments from the left come. Percentage-wise, it's lower percentage of things that we should be worried about. And the most important stuff we worry about, well, people die all the time, or, oh, you must be a QAnon, or, oh, you were crazy. No. We talk about things that are like sometimes less than a percentage point as the most important thing. Bathroom issues with transgenders are not even a percentage point of the population. I'm sorry, they're not. It's not. It's not a like I hate you. No, it's that. Is that really a thing?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, people are dying because they weren't putting seatbelts on. You put seatbelts on, now we change that around. That's a real thing. And they only focus on these small things so they can go around back and do
800,000 per year.
Now,
per year.
Per year.
I
How many
can't-
black men get killed by cops per year?
Well, at least we saw last year were 9.
9. Yeah. But
But let's not talk about the 800,000
No.
per year.
And they try to.
And then and no offense, child's lives matter more.
no, it does.
Seriously.
And
Without that, nothing matters.
when I'm out at these rallies, I'm asking everybody, why are we talking about it now? What's exposing it now? I want to go
All
down
of
the
this.
route.
I think Epstein, that whole situation, that whole debacle, I think that really brought to light a lot of the undercover stuff that's really been going on.
Sexual stuff.
It's undercover sexual stuff that's been going on with these kids.
You know,
that's why I think with this movie Cuties, it's so daggone important to come out at this time because that's what's on what's on the docket. That's what's on the news. So we got to look at these things. We got to understand what's really going on, and we got to be able to attack it. But we have to identify it. We have to see the ugliness of it before we can. We need to see the actual ugliness. You said that, talking about putting in a documentary. I'm actually glad they put it in the movie because more people are more willing and able to see. They're down to see a movie.
Okay.
When it comes to documentaries.
that's a good point.
Well,
it really
perhaps
is a good
it
point.
is a
It's
cultural
sad.
thing.
It's really sad.
You have a good point about
Cuties.
Cuties.
It is a good point. It really is a good point, and to each his own. I mean, you have to go. But you were talking about like why is it coming up now? I think it's because of what I just explained earlier. The sequence of events that people that actually pay attention and they understand, and when they see the uptick of sex trafficking coming in the light of Maxwell being arrested and the history of the 2016 WikiLeaks and Epstein, when you know these things and you see that's what's going on, you know what's going on. It's not a QAnon conspiracy. It's just people that are aware and are paying attention to these issues, and they have to beg the question and wonder that is it because of this?
You ain't black.
And you ain't black.
Oh no.